Paul, I know you have brought a very, very intriguing topic to the Music Hacks Network tonight. All right, I want you to tell us the theme that you have brought to present on.
Well, I hope it is as intriguing as you are saying, but it's a solid base. And in doing that, obviously I'm playing with the name bass, that is my first instrument, and BASE, having a good foundation. So the little presentation is about that. I do have a solid bass, you know. You'll see it later. It's a Tobias, and I have it for 20 odd years, the only bass. So it has to be solid for so many years. But I feel like I need to present on some things that are kind of non-musical. I wanted to speak on the foundation as a musician outside of just your instrument. You know, one needs to have a solid foundation in terms of your education, separate from music. And it's not too late to start. You know, one needs to understand themselves as an individual. That's part of who you are, you know, when you express yourself as a musician. One needs to have a solid base in terms of your understanding of your culture. You would be surprised how bigger your brand would be if it was a branding that expresses and understands the cultural significance in which you live and were born. A lot of the artists that we revere, a lot of the musicians that we revere, without a New Orleans, you hear me gone, that's a culture, you know. Or, you know, if it is John Patatusi, there was a culture around him. If it is Jaco Pastorius, there was a culture around him. You know, and those guys are guys I used to listen to a lot. But then I've come into my own, and then there is Family Man. There's a cultural relevance with Family Man. No bass player, no matter how you good, cannot walk near Family Man, in my view, because of the significance of what that means to the culture and to me. So one needs to understand that. One needs to understand the fundamentals of your instrument, how to tone. You know, it's not just about playing your instrument. I've been in situations in the past, way in the past, some things I don't even want to remember, when I get a practice guitar amp to play on as a bass player, in gospel that is. But you have to try and find a way to put it on a barrel and put it in your ears so you can hear it. And so it works. So you have to understand your instruments. And most importantly, people, please, you have to understand or find a way to get into understanding copyright and copyright protection. It doesn't make sense you become a Formula One driver, the greatest in the world, drive on every rally, every major stage, but you don't know where are the safety features in the car. It don't make no sense. Now that example, not understanding copyright and being a great musician touring all over the world, is the same thing, because there is no protection. If you come upon an original line and it is protectable, what do you do? So you have to understand what are the things that help to protect your creativity, because most of us may never end up working with an established organization for 20, 30 years in order to get pension. Some of us may, a lot of us may not. What your pension is, it's really your creation, your copyright. And so it's very important to understand that dynamic. So having a good base as an individual, having a good base to stand on, if you practice all of these things, if you are sensitive to these things, it would give you a better platform to stand on. I was saying to Chris earlier that when I check it out, I am not an artist, but I probably have 15, 16 albums that are mine. And I'm not an artist as in a performing artist. It is because of understanding the value of copyright, the value of your creation. And some of my friends know I push that hard, that you need to understand copyright and get yourself protected. It is not just being a good instrumentalist. It is being a rounded individual, because music, it is the music business. So aside from music, then you have the business element to deal with. Every single thing that you do in the music business, and you can test me. I'm going to be right here. I'm right here, so test me. You tell me one thing that you can do in the music business that don't require an agreement or a contract. If it's a band, what is the agreement between the musicians? It can't just be a band like that. Back in the day, we had our brand ambassadorship. If you're thinking about even expanding your career from a band perspective, you need some agreement, because whenever you go into an entity, they are going to want to know that everybody is moving in the same direction. At least, so it seems. If it is music production, what is the arrangement between you and the client? If the client is an artist and the client is supposed to pay in full, that was the agreement. By the time the production done, the person never have all the money. So what do we do? A lot of the calls I get is to sort out those situations. If you didn't get paid in full, who really owns the song? What is the right for the producer of this so-called unfinished song? Because from a producer's perspective, his job is done. Should he just pass on the song? Who is the executive producer in a song where the artists have not paid everything? So every step of the way, we need agreements. And I'm taking the time to spend time on this, because if we're not careful, we come here every week and we talk about music, and we talk about the great things, and we talk about phrase, we talk about modes, we talk about pentatonic scale and the Elixian scale, and you name them. I don't know some of them. And nothing is wrong with that. It's great. But what is the end result? At the end of the day, when you play all of that in your way, do you have a framework in which your rights are protected? Another discussion is about work for hire. A lot of people are being ripped off with this thing called work for hire. No go so. A work for hire has to be a specific kind of agreement. So a lot of the times when I hear persons that says they have a work for hire, it is a null and void contract, because I work for hire to do those things. For example, if you're coming to me and I am creating and I'm writing an original bass line and writing some phrases in the whole production, if you give me $1 million, you have not paid for my creativity. But you know how many persons get $20,000 and is a work for hire? Think about it. So these are some of the things that we need to spend time and learn, because as we get older, we are going to have to pass on this information to our children and to our other fellow musicians. So without taking it even too far off, I want to give you an idea of an experience that I have. And I said, storytelling is a great way of communicating. And I'm going to make 2 points with that coming from this conversation. When I went to England to do a deal with Jetstar, I went up there to do a deal because I wanted the deal to come back to go to VMBS to say, look, we expand the marketing platform now because we have this deal from the UK. Little did I know that Mr. Palmer wants somebody publishing. Now my publishing, like a young youth from Jamaica, my publishing grill up long time, because me know, say boy, you know, leave your island and you're going away. Unless it publishing grill up. So my publishing it grill up and not available for no deal. In the business world, a man cut deal because of what him get. So I get, pardon me, Mr. P, but that is what it was. 2 weeks. Me now get no deal. So the day before me go home now, Mr. P say, Mr. Paul, so who have you publishing? Me rock back in the chair and say, Mr. P, I publishing the one. They make you never tell me say I publishing the one from day one, Mr. P. I can't give you publishing, man. And creatively, what I did, immediately, I said to him, yeah, man, I have another song. I can give you 50% of that. Guess what? There was no other song because I went to him with a master. But what I did right there, I created another song on the spot so that I can give him 50% of that publishing so I can get the deal. Whether it was a bad deal or a good deal, that's beside the point. Different discussion. But when I left England, I got the deal. And guess which song it was? 2 points I want to make with that. You know a song on the album named Nah Give Up? Me nah give up when the battle get hotter. Nah give up all when me a suffer. Nah give up. Jesus Christ I'm my savior. Nah give up. Yeah. Right there and then, Nah Give Up was written. In the man office. He say, you think me I give up? Publishing I want, publishing I go get. And I did an additional song. Here the point I want to make with that now. Sometimes you need to be ready and know how to be flexible in order to secure a deal. It's not just about music and playing music. It's about securing a deal. And you have to have the experience to know that. I called Corey. It was about 11 o'clock in Jamaica time. About 11 o'clock. And I said, Corey, I have to do a song, you know, so that when I come back to Jamaica, we seal it up and things like that. Melody. And Corey was able to seal up the song. Now, you see that song, Nah Give Up, it satisfied that aspect of the conversation. But here, the other aspect of the conversation, the nature of your band arrangement. So even though I was in England, even though I wrote the melody, the initial melody, chorus and the initial melody from the UK, right now, every member of Catalyst Crew Band is still earning from that song because every member got a little piece of that song, even though it wasn't written in any studio with them. And that is the point I'm making about having the arrangements. I believe when you do those things, no all house can come tumble down by you. People will say whatever they want to say, but make sure that at the end of the day, if it is a collaborative setting, I'm not saying you should give away everything because my brethren used to say, but Paul, I give away too much. And the truth is, I was giving away too much. But in the end, I gave everybody some. And to date, if the song is played, every member, and it's for all the songs that I was involved in. So it's important to get these details down, and it should help in longevity. In my case, it didn't necessarily lend itself to longevity, and there's a whole host of other reasons why. So in closing, quickly, make sure that you have a very, very, very solid foundation in terms of all-around foundation. What I'll do, I'll just play 2 songs and share a little about those 2 songs in terms of how I created them. And I think, interestingly, they are 2 of my favorite songs that I've done from the past. Yes, so this is the interesting part for me. Because I don't know, I love to talk about the other things them, but I still have to come back to do this. I pride myself in being one of those persons that are very, very keen and good with regards to being a studio bass player. You know, I pay a lot of attention to that, and what helps you with that is tone. I hear a lot of bass players on stage and they sound great on stage because the tone of the instrument cuts through that environment great. But my disappointment is that when I hear them in a live recording studio, it's the same tone and it's a totally different discipline because you want to give the engineer enough dynamic range to work with, enough meat and them thing there. So I want to play 2 songs, maybe 3. Riding High, the original was done on a song called Behold from Schroeder Brothers. Yeah, Bernard Schroeder. Glenn Brownie and I produced this one. Glenn played guitars and helped me with the direction. And it was great to have such an icon, collaborating with. Here's the line. And you notice on the second time around how I changed the way I entered. Instead of, you notice how I entered the second time around. I had a little delay, which is a thing with reggae bass lines. Yeah. Another bass line, very favorite of mine. It's a song called For a Reason. We did an album entitled 4, digit 4 a reason. Everything in life is for a reason. So be conscious when you're going through your season. Everything in life is for a purpose. So when you're going through the tough, don't get nervous. This bass line was crafted from the melody of the song, but more importantly, I was hearing some horns when I was creating the line while everybody was there. And so when you eventually hear the song, you're going to hear spa pa 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 pa, spa pa 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 pa, spa pa 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 pa, spap 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 spa da da. Yeah, so the bass line is influenced now not by necessarily the lyrics, but it's the arrangement around the horn. Spa pa 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 pa. Yeah. Those are 2 of my favorite songs. Then you have the great No Power on Earth. That was the very first song I wrote and produced. Hit song. I'm still earning from that song over 20 years, And again, get your copyright in place, get your publishing in place, and create and put down. Here's an idea of the No Power on Earth. The feel around that bass line was, at the time, there was a lot of one drop. A dancehall was running the place. Dancehall was running the place, street and lane. As a matter of fact, it was Diwali that came and knocked No Power on Earth from the #1 position. Born as a Sufferer, I remember. What I wanted at the time was not to have a regular sounding reggae track. So underneath this track is a hip hop drum feel. Stu tu 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 kakatum ku tu 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 kakatum ku ku tu kakatum. That's not necessarily reggae. So what I did with that now, I found a complementing pattern to swing around that instead of just a straight one drop. Okay, final one. My all-time favorite bass line is a song we did called Jehovah. That there's so much magic about that song. When we were creating it, and also in the final recording, there's a pull in that song. I'm not sure if Corey had mentioned it, but there's a pull in that song while we were at Tough Gang. It was actually a mistake, but there was such a chemistry between us as musicians and drum and bass that you would never know. And it's a big part of the arrangement of the song. But one of the ways I approach this particular song is to play the song avoiding the root note for each pass that I'm to make. And why, I don't know how it happened, but it's a lot of feel and it worked. And let me give you a taste of it. It's called Jehovah, we call him. And so on and so forth. Yeah, and one tip for me on stage or in studio, I find that once I get my main volume, what works for me with this particular bass, which is why I love it so much, is that my mid-range knob is the key, whether volume or tone, so I can set the level and wherever I want to go. You know, the secret of the tone for my purpose is in the mid-range. Experiment with your bass and find out if that is so. It was a blessing to be able to share from my experience. I hope that I was able to inspire. I hope that I was able to share something that can make a difference in how you go about your music or how you go about organizing your brand. Because remember, each of us is a brand, you know. We have to take care of that. Blessings and one love.